Hi there! Lately I've been painting these tiny watercolor cards to send to my friends. They are mostly little landscapes inspired by the Lake Annecy. But one of my friends saw this small doodle I made in a more abstract style, and she really loved it. So today I want to paint a similar card for her. It's super simple, more like doodling with one color. It's one of the most relaxing ways I've found to enjoy watercolor, and you don't need any special skills. So let's paint it together. I start with a very light tone for the first layer. You can just go in with a simple irregular shape, like a little blob, to set the overall form. Then just fill it in with a light wash. I like to keep this first layer really light, since we'll build up the darker tones little by little. You see, the paper is starting to warp a bit. That's just from the water. Thicker watercolor paper works better. For the next layer, I add a bit of color to make it slightly darker. You can test it first if you're not sure. Once the first layer is dry, I go in with this darker tone, drawing a smaller shape inside, just loosely following the first one. And I keep the brush pretty wet here, so it can blend softly with the rest later. Then I reload a bit of paint and water and paint outward from it to fill the rest of the shape. I try to stay in between the two shapes, not going over the first layer and not covering the inner one. And this is usually the moment where I start to feel really focused. Just following the shape, and it feels really satisfying. Then I just repeat the same process for the next layer, going a bit darker. For this kind of painting, I usually choose a color that can go deep, so the contrast shows up more clearly. And what I really love about watercolor here is how soft and fluid it feels. It's very transparent, so even with just one color, you can get so many variations as you build the layers. I'm just taking my time here, following the shape and letting the color spread slowly. If you want more guides in watercolor, I also made an online course for beginners. They are full of relaxing and fun projects. Feel free to take a look. It may take a bit of time for each layer to dry, so sometimes I'll work on a few cards at the same time just to keep the flow going. I usually like painting more concrete things, like landscapes or tiny objects. But recently I've been trying more of watercolor doodling, and it really changed how I feel about it. Especially when I'm repeating the same shapes like this. Even if the shape isn't perfect, it actually makes it more interesting. It just feels very calming and easy to get into. There's something magical in painting repetitive patterns. Each layer is very simple on its own, but together they create something more. I don't really know why, but it becomes quite addictive and sometimes like a meditation. Here, I feel like the shape is a bit too strong with these sharp curves, so I want to soften it a little. And we can always adjust the shape when we add a darker layer. Oops, I went a bit too fast here. The paper isn't fully dry yet. You can see the edge starting to diffuse. If that happens, you can just lift the paint right away with a tissue. Here I'm going a bit outside the original shape to smooth the curve. The darker tone helps cover the initial line. And same for this curve. Now for the last layer, dry the brush a little and pick up more pigment to get the darkest tone. This time, I'm only painting some of the outer edges, not covering the whole shape like before. I'm slowing down a bit here just to stay focused and enjoy this last layer. This dark tone really adds depth. It almost feels like a tunnel, or maybe a glacier cave. I really like how it turns out. You could totally stop here, but I feel like adding a little something extra to make it more fun. A tiny black cat in the center, like it's curious looking into a little tunnel. I was also thinking about adding a little fish swimming inside, maybe for the next one. Do you think my friend will like this little card? I hope it also inspires you to make your own cards, just playing with shapes and colors. Watercolor doodling is so fun. I have a few more easy ideas I'd love to share with you, so don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more. If you want to learn watercolor in a simple and relaxing way, check out my online course for beginners and enjoy the current offer for a limited time. I'm Nan, a miniature watercolor addict. See you next time!